Hello, and welcome to another edition of the E-commerce Evolution podcast. I'm your host, Brett Curry, CEO of OMG Commerce. And today we have a returning guest, and we're going to be diving into a topic that is extremely relevant, extremely important right now. And so with me on the show today, I have Mr. Arri Bagah. Arri and I met a few years ago now, several years ago, at a smart marketer event. So mutual connection, mutual friend, and Ezra Firestone. We were both speaking at this event. I heard Arri speak and thought, man, this dude is smart. He's a whiz kid of sorts when it comes to text marketing and more than text marketing. He's known as the text marketing guy. And so we're going to be talking about how to use SMS and text marketing in 2021. What should we be doing, not doing? How does this all work? So with that in mind, Arri, welcome to the show again, and thanks for coming back.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So we both work in the e-commerce space, or that's where we tend to play. And of course, the audience here is all e-commerce. And so we're going to be talking about, how to use SMS and text marketing in an e-commerce environment. And so I think one of the first questions people think of is, so if we're sending marketing messages through text to prospects and customers, won't they just get annoyed? Like, won't they just be mad at us? Will we be worse off for sending these than having not sent them? So what are your thoughts there? Are text messages annoying, and how do we make sure that they're not annoying?
Sure. This is one of the things that I hear all the time, and it always comes up in every conversation, right? It's kind of like going back to pop-ups, right? People think pop-ups are annoying, like no one should be using pop-ups. I think it's kind of the same conversation. Yeah. So I think that, people have had bad experiences with text marketing where, you never subscribe, you go home and then you receive a random text message and you wonder how did they get my number and how did they send this text message out to me? So people have had those bad experiences, right? And it's completely understandable for people to be skeptical of the text marketing channel. But I think that at the end of the day, you're a customer. And we've had many brands that thought text marketing wouldn't work. They try it, revenue comes in within a week, and then they love it and they want to do more. So I think that, you're not your customer. It's always great to test something out before making the judgment that, it's not going to work for my audience. It's annoying. People are not going to want to receive text messages. And we've done a recent 2020 State of DTC Text Marketing report, and we found out that over the past year, over 81% of consumers have signed up to receive text messages from Shopify stores. And over 79% of consumers want to receive text messages, and most of them are already receiving text messages from presidential campaigns, two-factor authentication, delivery notification. So it's not something new that someone hasn't seen. Most people already have text messages going to their inbox. So that said, people are already using it. You never know until you test it out. The data is there, that the revenue is there. So yeah, you might as well give it a try.
I love that. So several lessons there that are really important. The first one that I'll point out is, you are not your customer. I am not my customer, right? We can certainly take our own experiences and learn from them and maybe apply them to our customer, but you have to be open to testing things. And even if you hate getting text messages of any kind, or you hate getting marketing messages via text, there's a lot of people, 81%, who have signed up to receive text messages from a merchant in the last year. That's significant. And I know for a lot of people, that is their primary mode of communication. I think that's pretty far reaching. I think most people are avid texters now. And if it's not the favorite mode of communication, it's certainly up there. I think the other thing, and I'm glad you use the analogy of a pop-up, right? We all hate pop-ups. Pop-ups that's a bad word, pop-up blockers and the different browsers now have pop-up blockers in them, but really we don't like bad pop-ups, right? If there's a message, like a welcome message that shows up on a site we really wanted to visit, and it's an offer for something we really want, or a discount or something new, then it's welcome, right? Then we're okay with it. So I think the same is true with text, right? Bad texts are annoying, but
Yes.
text to the right people with the right message at the right time can be really, really positive. And so can you kind of
Mhm.
talk about that? Like, how do we go about operating our messaging plan strategy
Mhm.
so that it's effective and not annoying?
Exactly. Yeah. You definitely got that one that, bad texts are annoying, and good texts are welcome, right? So I think one of the first things to do in order to start setting up text marketing is to figure out like what platform you want to use. And not to say that platform matter because at the end of the day, everyone has access to the same platforms, but there's a reason why some brands are doing great and some are not. And that is because it's the strategy that really matters. So that said, platforms like Postscript, Attentive, Yapo, SMS, or some of the great ones out there that are built for e-commerce that you can start using today. And once you have that, I think it's really important to figure out some of the ways that you can grow your list, right? Because at the end of the day, if you don't have a list, you're not going to make any money. I've had many people come up
Right.
to me. I've tried text marketing. It doesn't work. And I ask, how many subscribers do you have? It's like, I have 250 subscribers. Well, you can't do that much with that many subscribers. It's really important to keep growing your list. So we can get into some of the strategies to grow your list. But once you have your list, then there it comes the content, right? What do you send? And we can break that one down to automated flows, campaigns, as well as customer support. And lastly, optimizing, looking at the data and continue tweaking things, split testing to continue improving. Those are some of the ways that I recommend people to start text marketing, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, we can dive into each of those
Yeah, I love that.
specific
And so
points.
that's fantastic. Let's talk platforms for just a second. And I'm glad you mentioned that it's not so much about the platform as it is how you execute, right? How do you build your
Yes.
list? What content are you sending? What's your strategy, right? Like that always matters more than the platform. But any additional feedback on platform? You mentioned several. Any places that are better to start for beginners or better for people with small lists versus large lists? Any additional context
Mhm.
you'd provide on platforms?
Yeah, yeah. Usually, people ask me what's my favorite platform. I don't have one. I love all of them. They're all our partners. But if you're new, Postscript is a really great one, especially for Shopify brands. They only serve Shopify brands.
Hmm.
Postscript is a really great one. Yapo SMS Bump is also another one. I know my friend Ezra is launching his own text marketing app called Connect for his audience that you guys are going to be able to check out soon. I'm going to be doing a few things here and there with Ezra.
Cool.
So that one is good. And then you have Attentive for bigger brands. If you're doing, thousands, hundreds of thousands of text messages per week, then I highly recommend Attentive. They integrate with more than Shopify, Magento, WooCommerce, custom built
Nice.
platforms.
And
So that's
that's
more for like
attentive.
brands. Yeah, Attentive.
Great.
That's more for like, bigger and larger brands.
Great. Okay. Awesome. Sounds great. So let's talk then. Let's transition to growing the list, because if you don't have a list, you don't really have any text marketing abilities. So how does one go about building a list?
Yeah. So one of the first things is to figure out like what's going to get someone to actually join the list, right? Like what's the incentive? What are you going to offer someone? What is the value for someone to join your list? Because let's be honest, people are not just out handing out their phone numbers. It's very hard to get
Yeah,
someone's
they're
phone
not just
number.
saying I'm not getting enough
So
text right now. I'd really like to, if I could find some advertisers to send me some marketing text, that'd be great.
exactly. So people are not doing that right now. So yeah, what is the value in someone joining your list? And I think the value is the power of community. How can you build an engaged audience that, when you launch a product, when you have a promotion, they go crazy, you sell out the product. So those are some of the ways that we're looking at text marketing. I was just like in a clubhouse room with some brands, and they were talking about how they make it a little bit
By the way,
hard
quick
for.
side note, how are you liking Clubhouse? Has that been valuable for you? Have you been making good connections? Are you using it well? I'm on Clubhouse, but not doing anything. So I'm about to change that. So if you want to
Yeah.
connect with me on Clubhouse, let's do it. But how is it working for you?
Yeah, I just started using it too. I know you can connect with some, top talent and great brands, great marketers, people that you don't have access to on a regular basis. So for me, it's been great to get those people into another other sessions, have conversations, and then maybe take it to the next level. So that's kind of like how I'm planning on using it. I'm very new to it. So yeah, I mean, I've been in rooms, hearing people talk, just checking it out functionality wise, how it works and everything. But I think it's a great platform to connect with like people that, you can't just like email and get a conversation. But if you invite them to Clubhouse, they might join you in for a conversation. So yeah, like you could even like do this podcast like on
On
Clubhouse.
Clubhouse, yeah. I've had a few people talk about
Yeah.
that. The podcast content is great for Clubhouse. I'm still figuring it out, but I'm going to accelerate that endeavor and hopefully be more active on Clubhouse soon. So I love this idea of building community and figuring out, what kind of incentive are we going to offer? How do we get someone to give us their number? But practically speaking, tactically speaking,
Yes.
what does that look like?
Yeah. Almost turned into a Clubhouse expert for a second. Let's go back
Yeah,
into text
I was making
marketing.
mental notes, jotting down a couple notes. Yeah, I appreciate that those tips.
Yeah. So with text marketing, like anywhere you can collect an email, you can collect a phone number. The only thing is that we're making sure that you're compliant, that someone is actually opting in to receive that text message. So if you have an email pop up, you can have a phone number field as well and collect that phone number. I know the platforms that I mentioned make it really easy to collect both an email and a phone number. This could be a whole nother topic. Do you focus on email or text? So what I would say is that on mobile traffic, I prioritize text, and then on desktop traffic, prioritize email first, but also collect the phone number.
Yeah,
Because if someone is on their phone, it's super easy for them to get that text, whether you're offering discount or whatever it is you're offering to get them in. It's super easy for them to opt in. So on mobile, definitely prioritize text. Checkout is a really great one too. If you're using any like Shopify checkout, Zipify, Cart Hook, whatever you name it, you can get that customer's phone number at checkout, and have them subscribe to receive abandoned cart messages, follow up
and is that just as simple
notifications.
as just having a field for phone number, or are you explaining, or you're putting that field there and then saying, hey, here's why you should give us your number, or what do you advise there?
So you can have a checkbox that says like, subscribe to receive our text messages, or subscribe to receive offers, updates, early access to product launches, etc. So usually, like if you have Shopify Plus, it allows you to add an extra checkbox at checkout, and that would allow you to collect them as a subscriber.
Got it. Got it. Okay. And are you seeing like what kind of percentages are you seeing, or should you be seeing to get new tech subscribers?
Yeah, so that's a good question. On average, we're looking at 5% opt-in rates. Um, and like, people usually like say, okay, but I'm getting like 15% over email. But like we have a brand that's doing the same amount of revenue with email and text, but they have like 10% of the list, of their email list. So we even had a brand that had 50,000 subscribers doing $1 million a month in text marketing just via text alone.
Wow.
So, the size of the list isn't that important because the text marketing is very different where you're getting 99% open rates, you're
Right.
getting 10, 20, 30% click through rates. So those numbers are pretty crazy. And
Yeah.
you have brands that are selling out their products just via text even before sending it to their email list. So even a small list can, do really large numbers of revenue just because of the reach and the
Yeah.
engagement.
Totally makes sense. Yeah. And so even if you are getting 5% opt-in on text versus say 20% or something on email, the responsiveness of that text list really balances it out. And it is true. Like when you get a text message, it's much more personal, it's a little more intimate, and you're going to check, right? You get a text message, you know, ignore that. Everybody check, everybody looks at every
Yeah.
text message, right? Maybe I opt out or something if I forgot I opted in, but I'm going to see it. I'm going to get it. So totally makes sense. So we're
Yes.
opting in by really, in the cart, in the checkout, anywhere we have an email opt-in, why not ask for text as well? And I love the idea of prioritizing text for mobile traffic and then maybe leading first with email for desktop traffic. Certainly still asking for text in both.
Mhm.
Any other tips for how to get subscribers?
Yeah, I think when people look at text marketing, they think that text is out to get email, or like you're supposed to shut down your email service and and just use text marketing. But we want both channels to be working together. So we're not looking to stop in any email marketing in any way. We're looking to leverage both channels and have them work together, because we've done this test where we'll send out just like for this brand, we'll send out one text message alone. I think that did about 6,000. Send out one email alone, and that did around $3,400. And when we sent out an email and a text, and we did $15,000. So
Nice.
because you're using both, you're generating more revenue. So don't look at it as like, hey, I have to shut out. I don't have to do email anymore. I have to focus. We
Yeah.
want both to work together. So that said, with collecting subscribers, you can leverage your own audiences. If you have Instagram follow-ups, do swipe ups leading to text. We've had brands that are now adding stickers to, let's say, their retail products. Like if you're selling on Amazon or in Target, whatever, you can get those customers. Consumer, you can add a sticker that says text this keyword to this number to get this offer, and that could be a
Hmm.
great way to customers to come over to direct to consumer as well. You can leverage Facebook ads to collect phone numbers. The possibilities are endless. So yeah, but those are some of the top ways that I recommend for brands.
Love it. Love it. So this would be a good point then to kind of transition into content. What are we actually sending? And you talked about, auto campaigns for things like abandoned cart and whatnot. So have you break that down, customer support, and I think you had one other category as well. So you want to kind of talk that through. What are the main elements? What are the main content types that we're running with our text marketing?
Sure. Automated messages are like a huge part of email marketing, right? Someone gives you their email, then an automated welcome series. They go through an abandoned cart series, etc. So we want to do the same over. But when it comes to content, you don't want to just like copy the same thing email and just paste it in text, because text in itself is different, is a one-to-one communication channel. Like when you talk with friends, family, coworkers, you're having a conversation with, it's not anything professional, serious. It's emojis, gifs, images, etc. Use it like the same way, and kind of humanize the brand a little bit instead of being like too more casual when it comes to text. And when it comes to automated flows, well, a welcome series. And the purpose of the welcome series is to introduce your brand's customers. And if you have an incentive, you can deliver that incentive in the first message. And over you know a period of like 14 days, you can deliver text messages that convinces someone to buy. You can focus on the value of the product, social proof. Over 250,000 customers are using this product. Scarcity, because people are going to get that text, right? How can you get them to act right away when they receive that text message? If you're sending an offer, does it expire within the next 24 hours? So things like that you can add to your text messages that would get those customers to act pretty quickly. And then you have your abandoned cart flows. And the purpose of the abandoned cart flows is to get that customer to come back and complete checkout. So what you can do is, many brands have a abandoned cart set up over email already. So what we want to do here is maybe send a text out within 30 minutes to an hour after they abandon their cart, because when most people are shopping, they most of the time have their phone on them already.
Yep.
So it might be better to send them that abandoned cart within an hour to get them to come back. And if they don't purchase, then they can receive that email within like 4 hours or so. So if you're looking at how can I use both flows at the same time, we typically just stagger them, just send out the
Send out the
text
text
first,
message
since it's going to
first.
get the
That
most.
makes way more
Yes.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be way quicker, and then you can have that email go out. And obviously, the platforms are connected to Shopify. If someone makes a purchase on text, they're not going to receive it in email after. So that solves that problem there. And then post purchase, order confirmation messages. We've had many brands say that the customers ask like, "Hey, did my order process?" And their customer support team gets that like every single day, many times. So what if you could send an order confirmation via text and
Right.
be sure that someone is going to receive it, so that you don't have them reaching out to your customer support team asking if their
Yeah.
order has processed. And one thing that we did find over the past year is that when someone is in buying mode, they're more likely to buy again.
Yeah.
So if you send them a thank you message and say, "Hey, here's another 10% off for your next order," they're probably going to come back
Right.
and purchase again. So that could be a great way for post purchase to get those customers to come back. And then you have reviews. You can hit up those customers maybe in 2 weeks after the product is delivered to leave a review. If you're using Yapo's product, it integrates with their loyalty and reviews program, so it makes it really easy to set up. And then you have your customer win back, right? After 4 or 5 weeks, you can send that customer who have purchased like certain collections, like other products in the same collections that they're more likely to buy, and that could be a great way to bring them back. But those are some of the initial flows that I recommend in terms of setting up your automated flows.
Love it. Love it. And then what, and then customer support also makes sense. And so order confirmation. Do you like shipping confirmation as well? I know a lot of people really like to know when their item ships also.
Yeah, shipping confirmation. Actually, for one brand, we saw that shipping confirmation was generating a lot of revenue for some reason. So if you notify that customer and then maybe send them a link to check out another product or whatever it is, you might also see people coming in and end up buying the product. So yeah, those automated flows are great. But you also have campaigns, right? Broadcast
Yeah.
campaigns. What what people usually find as spam, like, "Hey, don't send me any promotional offers." But those work really great. People always ask me like, "What's the right cadence? Should I send like once a week, once a month?" It really depends on your audience and how great your content is, because it's not the channel, it's the content that people usually don't like. So if you're seeing high unsubscribe rates, that means that you need to redo your content, you need to humanize it, you need to send something that is unique, something that they're not seeing like on your website, something that they have not received through email already. Because what's the point of me subscribing to your text list if you send me an email saying the same thing, right? There's no reason for me to engage anymore
Right.
because I've already seen that message. So when it comes to those campaigns, you don't have to do sales all the time. Like every marketer that I talk to is like, "Hey, text is like, it's a sales channel. Like people send the same discount every other day." So you don't have to do discounts. Like I think marketers think that they have to do discounts, but you really don't have to. Like if you want to send content that is fun, engaging, like you can do that. You don't have to offer a discount every single time, and you can see super high open rates, click through rates, and conversion rates doing that. So I really think that, yeah, for your broadcast campaigns, if you're seeing high unsubscribe rates, find a different direction for your content. Like
Yeah.
we've had a brand that was like really skeptical about text. They were doing it, but they were kind of scared. They were sending one text every month. We took over, we started sending 2 text messages per week, and their unsubscribe rate went from 8.9% to 2.9% within like 4 weeks. Although we increased the frequency,
Yeah.
the content was better, and they generated more revenue. So at the end of the day, if you do it right, it's going to be a great channel. You're going to get people engaging.
Yeah. And what's so interesting about that, because I even I'll think about this from a consumer standpoint. Sometimes I'll sign up for a text service. And then if I don't hear from that brand for a long time, I may forget that I subscribed, right? Or be like, oh, I'm no longer interested in this thing anymore, right? If it's like 4 weeks after I signed up. So I could see where the scenario you just laid out, where maybe if you're sending too infrequently, that increases the number of opt-outs, right? Where if you're sending a little more often and you're building that relationship in that community, and the messages are fun and engaging, and maybe there's a combination of education and fun, with sales, and also like new product launches and stuff like that. I'm assuming that's a great place to use text and for events and things like that as well.
Yeah, 100%. Product launches are great. It's probably my favorite part of text marketing because you have brands that are launching new products. What we typically do is we send it early, like maybe 24, 48 hours early to our text list. And some brands will actually sell out their products before even sending it to their email list. So if you do text marketing right and keep your list engaged, when you have those product launches, those promotions, they're just going to sell out quickly, and you probably won't even have to send it to your email list. So typically what I recommend is for a brand to keep their list engaged. You don't have to do promotions all the time, but send out content that is relevant and fun. Use GIFs. GIFs really help in keeping the user's attention for a lot longer. So instead of them just opening up the text and closing it, now they open it up. There's a flashy image showcasing the product. They know what you're promoting, and they're more likely to also click. So that's another hack that you can leverage for increasing your engagement.
Cool. Love it. Well, final concept, final topic here as we look to kind of wrap up. Let's talk about optimizing, split testing. How do we get better and better? Because as marketers, that's what we should be doing. Whether we're running YouTube campaigns or search and shopping campaigns or Amazon ad campaigns, we're always finding winners. We're identifying losers. We're adjusting. We're tweaking. We're optimizing. What does that look like from an SMS standpoint? How are you optimizing and improving?
Sure. Yeah. Like in the e-commerce space, there's this saying that set it and forget it. I'm sure you've heard of it. So we tend to do the opposite. We want to
Yeah.
set it up and look at it every single day. So split testing is a core component of what we do. And split testing allows you to really figure out, like, is it the messaging that could help me optimize, improve my campaigns? Is it adding an image, a GIF? Is it the call to action? Is it the segmentation? Segmentation is a core part of text marketing, especially if you're using Shopify. You have a lot of different segments that you can use. So I always recommend segmenting. And this goes into like engagement, right? The more relevant the content is, the more engagement you get, the more revenue you're going to generate. So don't be one of those marketers who, send out like blanket emails to like 500,000 people, get like 8% open rates and like maybe like 0.5% click-through rates. And that is because they're not segmenting, they're not trying to create different content that's more relevant. If you do that through text, you're going to get the same result. You're going to have that big list and you're going to have little to nobody engaging. So what we want to do is we want to segment, send more relevant content. And although you might have a higher frequency, you're going to see that the content is relevant and you're going to get more people clicking through and buying the product. So split testing is part of that too for your automated flows. Split testing the times that you're sending, split testing the copy, the call to action, scarcity, different components that you can really split test to figure out like what's going to drive up the clicks, what's going to drive up the revenue per customer. And looking at data, right? Every text that we send, we like to add UTM tracking codes because, let's be honest, like every platform likes to over report on the revenue.
For sure. Every platform takes credit for one purchase. I've heard a lot of people say, hey, if I just added up all the conversions from all my channels, my sales would be double what they actually are. Right. But that's just the nature of the platform. So you have to understand that nobody's being nefarious. It's just the nature of
Yeah.
the way the platform's tracking works. You just got to know it going into it. Yeah.
Exactly. So we add a UTM tracking code so that we can double check in Google Analytics and see what the last click attribution in Google Analytics says, so that you can take a look at that data and really know what's working and what's not, because obviously like the results would be inflated in the platforms. And using UTM tracking codes, you can really see like um, the conversion rates for all the campaigns that you're launching, and then looking at the trends, right? Like I sent this text with my CEO holding the product is very humanizing versus like a very salesy text. What performed better? Like what made it perform better? And kind of taking what has already worked and then creating different versions of it, and continuing to improve. So typically that's how we do it. Data is really important. And also like sometimes in Google Analytics, we can create a user profile, like who's engaging with us via text, because sometimes people think like, hey, it's only like people who are like 18 to 22 years
Right.
old,
Yeah. Not true.
that are engaging. Yeah, exactly. That are engaging via text. We have this brand doing over 1 million a month via text, and their audience is like 55 plus. So it's
Right.
not really like a specific demographic that works.
Yeah.
It's relevance, like community, people who are engaging with your brand. That's what works. So that's another thing when it comes to data. Look at that customer profile and continue to create content that's more relevant to them.
I love that. Watch the data, always be split testing, always look to get better segmentation so that you can increase your relevance with your message and your offers, and it just works. I mean, when you put attention on these things, you're going to improve your performance, no doubt about it. So Arri, let's do this. So we're kind of wrapping up here. I'm sure there's a lot of people listening saying, man, this is good, I love this, I've got to do better with my SMS marketing. Where does ConverseSmart come in? So what can you do? How can you help people? Because I'm also guessing there's a lot of people watching and saying, I like the idea of doing more SMS marketing, but I don't want to do it myself. So where do you guys come in?
Sure. We come in usually when someone wants to work with us, they just want to offload everything to us, which we really love because see we want control of the channel. Usually, what I don't like is when someone do, and then they try to tell you what to do. Like, you hire the experts do what
Right.
they're supposed to do. So that's how we approach things at ConverseSmart. So we come in from picking out your platform, subscriber migration, your strategy, your automated flows, the copywriting, the creative. We do everything. Like hiring us is like 10 people at once to do your text marketing. So those are some of the benefits that you're looking at. So manage all of it. Like you really don't have anything to do besides like approve the content. And we're very transparent with our brands. Come from an e-commerce background, and at the end of the day, revenue is what really matters for e-commerce brands. You can create beautiful looking text messages, beautiful looking image. If they don't generate revenue, then who really cares, right? So
Right.
that's the mentality that we're bringing for the brands. So revenue is always in the back of, in the front of our mind, like what can we do to increase revenue for these brands? And that's what we really focus on. So that's it. That's that for, we got into email marketing too, like 7 months ago. And I know what you're thinking, like, hey, like, this guy, text marketing, getting into email. Yes.
The two go
Email is a
together
great
so well, though. I
channel.
mean, they
Brands
just
have
complement
requested
each
for
other. They
us.
work well together. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So it just made sense for brands to offer as a service. So we're running the most lean and effective text and email marketing services, helping brands reach their customers on those two channels. So we come in same way, like fully managed white glove text and email marketing service. So that's what we can help e-commerce brands.
Love it. That's so good. So Arri, how can people best connect with you? Just through the website, on socials? What's the best way to connect with you?
Yeah, that's my favorite question on any podcast. Go to conversmart.com, conversmart.com. And you can reach out to me at Arri@conversmart.com. That's ARRI. This podcast could be 8 hours long and I could be here talking about text marketing. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. More than happy to help you out.
Hit up the text marketing guy, the text and email marketing guy now. I have to rebrand that just a little bit, but yeah, reach out to Arri, awesome guy, and can help you guys a lot. And so with that, Arri, man, thanks so much. Thanks for coming back on. This has been a lot of fun. And you're right, we could have gone another several hours and then this still would have been engaging.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, man. It's always great to be here.
Absolutely. And so with that, as always, thank you for tuning in. And we would love to hear from you. So give us some feedback. What are topics you want us to dive into on the show? What do you like? What do you not like about the show? And with that, until next time, thank you for listening.